Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, sorry for the delay. Had somebody come at the back door about that time, so pretty important. So let me go ahead and drop the link, and everybody can jump in. Hopefully everybody's doing well. We finally are starting to get some warmer weather this coming weekend, and and all that. Hey DC, hey Billy Lee, and hey Jonah, Jonathan, Roy, Billy Lee. We had, hey, Roy. There's Mr. Dave. Thanks for coming in.
What's going on, Charlie? Evening.
Hey. Uh, so, let me see. Let's see. Hey, Danny. Hey, Mike. Keith. Hey, Sarah. And I had one here I wanted to look up. Anyway, sorry for the. Hey there, Ryan. Iron had grafted cells. It had an 85% mating success on the grass. Well, that's great. I knew you had your nukes were homemade and been selling them. That's cool. He's down there next to you, Dave.
Yeah, seems we both have good success with grafting. Uh-oh, I got stuck.
I'll find out tomorrow. I grafted 30 cups Monday. Oh. What happened? Wrong button.
Yep. You grafted 30 cells? That was the last thing I heard.
I did 30 cups, and we'll see how many cells came through. The problem was I went out there Tuesday, I guess it was, and I had warmed up some Hive Alive um, pollen patties. I was putting that on there, and you do things on other hives always. Like you might want to tap the side of the hive with the box lid or whatever. And I did that. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going to jerk them darn cells right out there because I did that one time, but this wasn't directly on the same box. So hopefully, if I lost some, I didn't lose a whole lot.
Yeah, I grafted last Sunday, and I was thinking about what happened last year when I did 45 cells and I only had 18. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do more to compensate for the loss that I would have because I was expecting it to be bad. Sure enough, I did 60 cells.
You got 60?
I got 55.
55.
What's up, Norman?
Hey, Norman.
Hey, gentlemen.
Well, did you wave to
I didn't want to interrupt this fantastic story.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something, Dave. Did you find that your hey Eddie, did you find your cell builder was more up to par this year as far as the density of bees in order to keep it warm and do the job right because of so many cells?
So last year, I thought about it a little bit. Last year, I took the biggest hive I had. It was boiling over every time I opened the lid, and I just decided to do the Bob Benny Queen Right cell starter finisher.
Yeah, tell us. I've watched that video. Tell us how. Is the queen upstairs?
So they when they start the grafts, the day before they put the grafts in, they take the queen, and I'm not doing the whole beginning part, but yeah, they take the queen and they put her up top, and then they put a double screen board in the middle, but they pack the bottom with a lot of bees. They take like 2/3 of the bees that are in the top box besides the queen, and they dump them all into the bottom and put a bunch of capped brood down there, and they leave one frame of open larva, and that's going to be the frame that they pull out and put the grafts in, so it keeps the nurse bees working. and that's what I did that last year, but I didn't add extra bees from another hive, and because I thought there was plenty of bees in there, but I also think it had something to do with the Chinese cups that I used, because I didn't use JZBZ cups. I used Amazon knockoff brands, so that may have hurt it too.
We talked about that, I think Monday night or something like that on Bill's channel, and I don't know what the deal is with that, but those Chinese things do not work.
Yeah, I threw them all away after I got JZBZ brand, and I threw all the rest of them away, and all the Chinese ones. But yeah, I did that this year. I did it. I went to 2 other hives and I dumped 4 frames of extra bees, and I dumped them all. I did exactly what Bob Benny did. I put a T-shirt down. I put a board up right at the entrance, and I dumped all the bees on there, and they all marched right in. So I did that, and then I did my grafts, and then 3 days later, I went out there and checked, and I about pooped myself. I was not expecting all of them to, like, 55 of them to take. I was, like I said, I did 60 just to see. I was like, man, I'll probably get like 30 out of it. Now I got a big problem. I got to figure out what to do with them all, but I also,
your problems.
Yeah. Now I gotta get all these styrofoam mating nooks ready, and I'm already having bad problems with those. And like,
minis have been a nightmare for me this year.
Yeah, I got them started. I ended up starting to switch to like sugar, like moist sugar, just not mixing up, just adding a little bit of water to it, making like a little brick. They keep getting in there and just drowning the whole hive, or the whole box will just drown themselves. I don't know why they're doing it.
You got a little floaty in the.
Put a little float in there.
I put hardware cloth in there at first, and then I was like, okay, I guess that's not enough. So I spent a whole afternoon for 40 of these things making these elaborate hardware cloth ladders.
Oh no!
That stick in there.
Man, I just cut a piece of 2x4, a little bit smaller, then it'll drop down in the bottom and drill 2 holes in it, and the float. It works great. Almost no drowned bees.
Yeah, anything that floats. Anything that floats. I got these little little clone tray pieces of neoprene I throw in there. I throw 2 of them in there. You could use foam. You could use anything, just as long as something they can stand on.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that'll work, and I've put eight queens out there. 6 of them have died.
Bill.
Hey, James McNally. James says use a paint stick. Hey, Bob, and all that. Small piece of wood. That's what, a frame feeder you're using, David?
No, it's basically a cup that sits in these things. It's an open feeder, pretty much. It's basically a cup. You have to put something in it, or else it's just
Okay.
But
I don't know. The way I feed mine is I'll put a quart jar. I made up an inner cover on I'm using a nuke box, but on the inner cover, I drew a circle around the lid of that of the quart jar to mark it to where to place it, and then I drilled like an 1.25 inch hole that kind of goes with the holes in that lid, and that way you're always on target, as far as the hole in the lid.
Yeah.
And then in this go round, I put bee bite in there, and when they've been eating on that, and I put pollen patty in there. I haven't checked since, and I've done all that. And
I'm thinking that it's the getting the nuke started, the little mini mating nuke, getting it started. Once I get past that, it's fine. It's just, I think the initial shakeup of me dumping bees in there, they just don't know what's going on, and they're just running around everywhere. So I went and bought 6 Hive Alive patties. So when I go to prime all the rest of these mini mating nukes, I'm just going to start them with the Hive Alive patties and let them calm down and get themselves into gear, and then put sugar syrup in it later.
You're talking about fondant?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's that way.
You use Sawmill 10, right, to get your 10%?
Sawmill 10? No, sure didn't. No, Amazon. Do they do that on Amazon?
Amazon. You're
Kind of
supposed to
in-
go to the website and put in there Sawmill 10 and get your 10% knocked off.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a pinch right now. I kind of need it by the next Friday, and sometimes it takes about 2 weeks for them to get to me because I do buy from them when I'm not in a pinch.
Well,
But I kinda need to
always
do
use my
something
code and get yourself 10%.
else. I will.
But yeah, that's the thing with like mating boxes is once you get that hive established where you can keep pulling queens out and putting new cells in, and it's like it's its own little hive that they're not going to go back to a parent hive and things like that. It gets easier that way. James wants to know up what kind of mini mating nukes did you use?
They're the 4-frame styrofoam ones. There's 2 different types. There's the real cheap ones that have the that don't have starter strips, and then there's the ones that have the starter strips. They look like there's a plastic version out there that's like $40 or $50, and they're hard plastic. It's a styrofoam version of that.
It's the one that's got the dial.
No, I have 4 of them that are the cheap ones with the dial. Actually, no, it has both. So the cheap ones I have a dial. It's like in the middle up top.
Mm-hmm.
The real sturdy ones I have a dial in the middle, but also have a lever gate on the bottom.
Okay.
But those are the sturdy. Like that one is like it. They feel like almost wood. It's hard styrofoam. The other 4 that I have that have the dial in the middle, that's like cheap styrofoam. Like you could poke your finger through it.
You know what I think? If Dave and Eddie, if we keep working at this between the 3 of us, we're gonna figure out how to get these nukes to go.
Well, I'm stopping. I'm not doing them anymore.
Oh, you can't give up on us.
No, I figured it out. I'm not willing to do what it takes. And
Yeah.
What was that,
the
Eddie?
queens? You got to pull the queens earlier than I'm willing to pull them. I can't let them stay in there 21 days.
They'll lay it up and then.
Yeah, I mean, I got all of them mated. And that wasn't the problem. It's just I didn't want to pull them for 21 days, and they all left around day 18.
Right.
They absconded with cat brood and stuff, and I'm not willing to.
So basically, they went in there and laid the whole thing up, and they had no place to go, and they swarmed.
And they left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I got you now.
See, it's crazy that the
Just
whole
like-
thing
just
leaves.
like
But
I
they
said about-
didn't make a swarm cell or nothing. They just absconded.
Yeah, they just leave.
They just leave.
Yep.
Yeah. That ain't big enough. Let's go someplace else.
Yeah, so I'm giving up on that. If I can't let them lay for 21 days, I don't want to use them. I don't know why it worked last year for me. I mean, last year I had some that ran 2-3 months without a problem. But this year it is not working.
That's because they didn't figure it out last year, Eddie. Then you put them back in it. They're like, oh, I remember these things. We're going to leave in 18 days.
Yeah,
So
well, I'm gonna.
There's
be
a trick to
after
starting
you.
those mini nukes, guys.
Well, I can get them started, no problem. I just can't get them to lay for 21 days before and then pull the queen. They want to leave too early.
Why do you want to have them lay for 21 days in there? You should have your queen out of those mini mating nukes long before the 21 days. Long before the 21 days.
That's what I'm finding out. People want to buy some queens from this year, and I did some research, and it seemed like 21 days was like the minimum you should let a queen.
Yeah, but not in a mini mating nuke. The mini mating nuke is strictly to get them mated. So
Yep.
it's a small nuke to put them in. Get them in there as soon as you drop that queen in there. If she hatches, give them 12 days to go out and mate. Be checking that queen in about 7 days after that mating period. And if she's starting to lay, get her out of there for 2 reasons. One, you definitely are going to plug that hive out. She's going to start to lay 40, 50 eggs a day. Within 7 days, she should be laying, a few hundred eggs. You don't have that many cells in there. So you're actually stunting your queen if you try to leave her in there for 21 days. Get her in there until she starts to lay, get her pulled out of there. And that's where your 6 frame or 4 frame or whatever you want for a nuke. Drop her in there and then let her get going. Those mini mating nukes were never designed, guys, to have your queens in there for 21 days. That's not not how they were designed to be used.
Good to know.
If you take a look, I make little mini mating nukes that fit right on top of my 10-frame boxes. In fact, you'll be able to see them in my short that I put out there just, I think it was last week. And
Yeah,
I get
James, aren't they? What are they at 5 frames or 6?
inside those ones.
Yeah.
There's 5 frames, but the same thing. If you you can't leave a queen in there for 21 days. So I treat them the same way I would those little styrofoam mini mating nukes. I'll drop the queen in there. I won't touch it for about 12 days. I'll start looking, 12 days, go back in there 7 days later. She's already laying. Get her out of there, get her into a nuke, or I drop them into our 6-frame batteries, and let them going that, let them go that way. The other thing that'll end up happening is if you let the queen stay in there too long, and what'll end up happening is if you go to drop another cell in there, they're already going to be making a queen cell. You've basically killed that mini mating nuke for 21 days. So
Yeah.
So drop it in there. 12 days later, don't touch her. After she hatches out, 12 days later, she's probably gone on the mating flight. Within 7 days after that period of time, so about 19 days, she should be out of there and long gone, and drop another cell in there.
Yeah, Jane, that I was thinking that's that same size mating nuke that Brad was building last year.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, there's
It's
5
it's
little frames in there, but
but they're a pretty good size frame, about 6 inches wide or something like that.
Be right back.
Well, I'll take a piece of foundation and I'll cut it in 3. So and then I'll drop it in there. Now, the other thing that works really good, if you guys are trying to figure out how to get the bees to stay in there,
I don't have a problem with that.
What's that?
I don't have a problem with that part.
Okay. So
All right,
some people have got a
tell me
problem with
about that, James. How do you,
Okay.
if I want to take and set up a nuke or whatever, for a mating box, I mean, I can pull a frame of, let's say, cat brood with bees on it and stick it in there, but how do you hold them there to get once you get that cell in there to get them started and all that stuff?
If you've got cat brood in there or egg, anything like that, that brood will hold those bees there. And that's exactly why I take mine and put them on top. And I'll actually let the queen come up and lay in there. So in fact, you're going to see, I just pulled, in the midst of pulling a bunch of mine off. Well, what I'll do is I'll let the queen actually go up and lay in those boxes. And then what I'll do is I'll find the queen, make sure she's down below, put a queen excluder on for 4 days. So now there's no egg in there that they can make a queen from. And in 4 days, I'll pull that off and start dropping cells in there. Because those eggs and larvae and brood, that's better than anything else you can come up with. That's just almost like a magnet to keep those bees there. The other thing, if we do it that way, is it's the young bees that are feeding those. So they probably haven't been out of the hive anyways. So when they do come out now they're going to orientate right there. And you've actually set your mini mating nuke box up for almost 100% success that the bees will stay there. They won't go anywhere because they know nothing else. But the key there is I have to pull it up. I have to put a queen excluder in underneath for 4 days. And if I don't, any egg in there inside of that 4 days, of course, they could make into a queen. But after 4 days, it's too late.
What you got, Dave?
So I went and got the ones that I'm not using. So just the front of it, I painted them up, and they got the 4 frames in here. And then I made up these ladders to put in here to keep them from drowning.
Yep.
And these ones have the starter strips on them.
Right.
So I used them last year, and I got some of them to draw, some comb out. So I spread out all the drawn comb that I had between all of them to get the rest of them started.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the hard one. Like, this one is tough. Like, this is like borderline wood. And this one's got the dial in the middle, but no bottom entrance.
Yep.
This one is really soft, but it also is a 4-framer. But this one you had to put strips in.
Strips or foundation, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I got all the strips and foundation waxed. So those are the ones I'm working with right now.
The other thing that I found worked really good, if you had to with those, rob a queen and a cup of bees out of each one and just dump it in there. As long as that queen is there, the bees will stay there too.
And just
And
start laying and make them want to stay there.
right, I was going to say you're only gonna want to have that queen there for a couple days, right? But but she will force them to draw that comb out quickly.
Yep. So we use the hard plastic ones, not like the one that Dave's got, but the actual plastic mating nuke. And when she would go out and get mated, James, when she came back, we would check them daily. When she came back, she stayed in 2 to 5 days,
And then get
and
her
she
out.
was pulled, caged, and sold.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I will take them out of there and I'll put them into our battery, because I do make sure that they meet my standard. And I know it's not the bee, it's this guy, right? I know I have a high standard, and I know I'm very picky about the quality of my queens, but if she doesn't meet that standard, she usually gets squashed and away they went. But I mean, doing it that way, what did I do last year? A little better than, I think, 300 queens. So I mean, it goes quick. And unfortunately, these are the little tips that take a long time to learn if somebody doesn't help you out or tell you with them.
Yeah. So we stopped using those plastic mini mating nukes and went to a full nuke hive. So that way, when she came back, she was in there 5 to 7 days and actually got a chance to lay up a full frame before we pulled her.
So you can do that. That's just more equipment.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I did what I did and I made up those 4 that fit on there is same pallets, same lids, everything fits. And that's really kind of key with that whole system that Ian and then Brad and myself and everything all kind of worked on. Is everything works, everything fits, everything's interchangeable, right? So the same pallet does the mini mating nukes as it does, everything else. The lids are all the same. Like it's so nice when it just fits. And if you're transporting them, everyone locks into everyone, so it's easy to put it on the truck and or a trailer and strap them down and transport them. It just all works.
Yeah.
So that's my thing this year. Having seen so many of my queens die already, and I haven't even really got started, I went and bought 45 boards, and I'm going to make my own 5-frame mating nukes for deeps. So that way I can also, like Bill was saying, I can see what she's laying, and then if they lay something up too much, I can go and pull that frame and go drop it in a main hive or something and put a foundation in there and just keep rolling it that way. So it's interchangeable, and everything's using the same frames. I don't have these little mini mating nukes that I have to make a special box for at the end of the year when I'm done with them to get them to hatch out in another hive and all that. So that's my next. I need to get at least 10 of those made by next Thursday. The 5-frame nukes.
There you go. Well, we'll be dropping the first round of queen cells into. Well, I think we got 70 of those little mini mating nukes ready to go already. So our first 70 queens will be dropped into those here, next week. We're going great guns. So, and we're probably going to make up another 100 of those little we have for mini mating nukes, because we're finding they're working really, really well.
So you take the queen out of that and you put her in something bigger to see how she can let her lay longer before.
Well, I'm trying to fill my equipment, but absolutely. So I'll take it out. We've probably got, I don't even know what we'd have there. We probably got 150, 200 boxes and stuff like that ready to fill yet too. So we're going to drop them in and just keep assessing them. And if they don't turn out, squash them, and we'll drop another one in and we'll carry on. So
maybe I'll give them another shot next year. This year I'm done with them.
Yeah, well, we got to get going. I think I've got orders for almost 200 queens already. So I got to get my button gear.
Our season is about done. Our last main flow is going right now, and we got another maybe 2 weeks, and then it's a dearth for months.
Our dandelions are just popping here, so. Anyways, I wanted to pop in and just kind of give you guys a few of those tips. That's what I found worked really well.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Appreciate it.
it'll help you guys out there. Hopefully it'll work for you. But yeah, those little mini matings were not somewhere where you want to have them in there for 21 days for sure.
Well, I'm glad that you came in, James.
Yes, thank you.
Always good to hear from you. And good. Hopefully, and I guess you're several hundred hives now? You're back up
Yeah, and growing. So our goal is to fill all of our equipment here this year. So we did finally get our contract with BeeMade. So
Oh, really?
yeah, now I can step on the gas. So
Well, you had already, found what you had 5,000 or 6,000 pounds that you were selling last year before, I guess it was.
oh yeah, no, we 2 years ago I think we were just shy of 55,000 pounds.
Yeah, but I mean, you had. Thank you, Dottie. You had the drink company, the
Oh, the mead company. Oh yes, yeah, we sell them.
mead. You had the mead, and then you had the juice. You had all these different outlets where you could do direct sales without having the co-op and all
Yeah,
that.
and a broker. But that, believe it or not, that is a lot of work. So I'm extremely
Hey,
happy
James?
too. Yep.
I'm gonna tell you like somebody told me. You need to figure out what you want to do and do it.
Well, that's what this was actually. If you go back and you take a look, this always was the plan to get that to get that contract with BeeMade, because the long-term plan is exactly that. Do the bees in the summertime and sail when the snow's on the ground here. So
There you go.
we're getting everything in place.
So you did
Yep.
55,000 pounds out of how many hives?
300.
That was about 300. Yep.
That seems like a lot.
There-
of hives.
Guys, let me put it to you this way: when you're up there in Alberta, Canada, the average they want at least 250 pounds per hive.
Well, I wouldn't say quite that much, but anything less than 100, I would consider a failure. So, anyways, we're going out for supper, and our ride is here. So, have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks,
Good
James.
evening.
See you, James.
250 pounds per hive average.
That's the average.
That's pretty good.
Well, you'd figure like Doug is in Saskatchewan. He took a video for me on Facebook, and he said, "Charlie, off to the left, 1,200 acres. No, 12,000 acres of canola. Off to the right of the road, off to this end, another 12,000 acres of canola." So you got 20 is as far as you could see to the horizon was just yellow. And they can get, a really good hive, 300 pounds per hive. Easy.
Yeah, and all of it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
That's our only flow.
Well, when he was doing that 2 years ago, he messed up. And of course, remember, they're using deep boxes only for the honey supers and everything.
Yep.
So he had a single queen excluder. He put foundation on, went back, and 7 or 8 days later, they had pulled the wax out and filled the box of honey, the deep box. And he said, "I messed up. I should have put 2 deeps on instead of 1.
Yep.
Because of the flow. That's how hard the flow comes in up there. They're making the waxes as they're filling it all at the same time and everything."
Yeah, I know it's not. I know it's not related, but I caught a swarm, and I put them in a deep box with just the bait frame, which was drawn comb, and all foundation. I went back 3 days later. They had about 7 of the frames drawn out. I threw a deep on top of them. I went back a week later. They have almost all the frames and 2 deeps drawn out within less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that is insane how fast they drew that out.
But,
I know it wasn't related to like a flow thing, but it's crazy how fast they can draw stuff when they.
I'm sure the flow was on pretty good too at that time, right?
The past 2 weeks.
Okay, the past 2 weeks here recently.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But
Where are you again, Dave?
What's that?
Where are you again?
Southern Maryland.
he's close to Virginia and the Potomac and all that. He's about 2.5 hours south of me. I'm in the northeastern corner of Maryland. He's the southwestern part of it, below Washington D.C. and all that.
Better known as the Eastern Shore.
Oh no, that's not me.
Not
I'm
the he's on the western shore.
Yeah, I'm the western shore on the Potomac.
How are your graphs, Charlie?
I'll find that out tomorrow. Hopefully I've crafted 30 of them Monday. So I the last I did check and all of them had started on the cups. Now, whether that really means anything at that point in time, I'm not sure.
I know you said you were not optimistic about it for some reason.
Yeah, the graph material wasn't all that great. And I got to thinking about that. Well, maybe my new glasses are making me see better too. And I can see things out at the hive a little bit easier, where I used to not be able to see it. I'm like, okay, that's the right size, age. And the thing I did was I went out there and I was putting some pollen patties on. I kind of knocked that hive, bumped it, and I've had, I'll see whether that affected it or not. So, but other than that, hopefully I got 30 cups in there. So if I get 25 out of the 30, I'm happy.
Yeah, I can't see the right size, the graph from out at the hive. I just look for the laying down eggs, and then where stuff disappears, I know that's probably going to be the right one.
If I look at the cells and all I see is jelly, that's the right size. If I see a jelly with just a speck in there, that's close enough. But if I look in there and I see the larvae floating in there plain as day, too old.
Yeah,
that's kind of my.
Yeah, out at the hive, my eyes just aren't good enough to see that. But I can see the eggs, and I've learned now that the frame that's got the eggs sticking up is not the frame you want, because the larva that's going to be around that stuff is going to be too old. You got to find that frame that's kind of laying down, and then where they disappear, that's probably the area that's got them. I bring it to the honey house and put my 3-power things on in the dark.
Yeah.
So I noticed when you use a headlamp, right?
Yeah.
What type of light is it? Is it warm or is it LED?
It's LED.
Because I've noticed because my thing's got multiple settings on it, and when I switch it to the LED, like the white, it tends to catch the ridges of the larva better, and it makes them illuminate.
You can see those ridges, yeah.
Yeah,
It makes them glow.
Yeah, and when you use warm or something, you can't see anything in those cells.
Nope.
Yeah.
I got a little 4-inch LED flashlight. I'm over here and I can go back and forth like that, and it'll, at a certain angle, that larvae will glisten in there with that LED white light.
Yeah.
And the headlamp, it's just on there for looks as far as I'm concerned.
But I need a good headlamp, yeah.
And then, I got my glasses and my magnification unit on there, and I don't know. It was the first time for the year. And I've got like reader glasses, 2X readers, and I put a 1.5 magnification helmet on. And you have to get that helmet lens adjusted with the 2 lenses. And all of a sudden, once I got it down just right, there, everything, boom, it's clear as a bell. Yeah, there you go.
That's my grafting flashlight.
I got one about half the size.
See how bright it got in here?
Nope. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one there I bought from Amazon where you can click
Fry
it at red light, white light.
Yeah. That's a rechargeable light. You can get them off of Amazon.
And then it also goes wide and narrow and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a narrow. That's the wide.
Tape it to your grafting tool.
Yeah. This light was $60 some. I bought 2 of them
Yeah, I use the Milwaukee
because they're
headlamp.
rechargeable. I keep one charging all the time.
But yeah, I just got the little LED out of the drugstore. It works fine. You know, get a pack of 3 for $15 or something, and they work okay. You know,
I
and
just use the little thing that's on my glasses, but I do it in a dark room, so it works.
yeah, you were saying you were pitch black. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mine are just mine are in the kitchen with no lights on, just light coming through the window, but it's darkish in there, dim, I'll say. And anyway, it works, you know. And then my grafting tool, like this year, it's the same Chinese one I had last year. The main thing that I did, a lot of times they'll get stuck being not used over the winter time. I'll stick them in my mouth and let it soak for a while, and it loosens everything up, and that way your plunger works and all that stuff, and works good.
Yeah, you gotta give them a couple test clicks before you go for the.
Well, you know, sometimes
the larva, or else you're in a position. You're
that
like, oh,
plunger
no.
gets stuck on that tongue, you know, and if you'll let, yeah, and I let it warm up and get solvent, I guess is what it amounts to.
Yeah, you get a little sugar, a little whatever, sticks it, the slidey bits.
I was finding the problem that I had the most was sometimes, like if I didn't get under the larva just good enough, it felt like the larva would curve the edge of the grafting tool of the little plastic piece, and then I would lose it. And
You
if
got
I
some
go,
tough larva.
yeah, and it's like I try to when I go to like put it in the cell and I like push down and then I don't see the larva, I'm like, oh crap, is it in there? And I don't see it with my light. I don't see it on the grafting tool. I'm like, what's going on? And I just, all right.
Well, what I always do, I mean, I look in there with my easel and I can see it, you know, larva sitting there like a C or sort of like a C. And then I just slide that tongue down the sidewall and I know it's going to go across over, you know, on the back side of that C. And I just go over there and I bump the other sidewall and then I just pick it straight up and I look at it, you know, and usually it's on there.
Yeah, usually that was the case, but when I did it, there was probably about 10 or 15 of them where I was like, is it on there? And I'm looking, I don't see it. I go to put it in there, I didn't see it in the cup. I'm like, oh shit. I look in that cell and I was like, it's not there. I'm like, where is it? So I just end up licking it and moving on to the next one and then dropping another one in the same cell. One that I actually saw.
Hey, Kevin. But yes, I mean, sometimes when I'm pushing the tool down in there, it'll kind of like push the larvae over, or it'll go over and grab the jelly, but it didn't grab the larvae on top of the jelly. And that's where you just lick it off and then go to the next one someplace else and graft something else.
Yeah.
And do that. And then have you had any problem like releasing it off the tool into the cup? I stuck the point down there kind of on an angle where it's kind of like sort of right in the center of the cup, and I start pushing the plunger and kind of lifting that grafting tool up to where it just kind of scoots it off. By the time the point is almost ready to come off the bottom of the cup, it scoots that larvae off.
Yeah, I like to put it all the way down to where the plunger touches the bottom of the cell cup before I push the plunger, and just hold the plunger against the bottom of the cup and pull up on the grafting tool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dave's got. Roy says you're doing something right. You're getting 55 out of 60.
Oh, I was ecstatic. I was praying on 30, and like I said, I did 60, and I was like, I'm going to be okay with 30. And then I pulled that frame up for the first time, and I was like, oh shit, I was like, now I actually have a problem. It's a good problem, but I have a problem. I don't have enough houses for all these cells.
So Dave, that was queen up and grafting frame down, right?
What's that?
You had the queen was in the upper box, grafting frame in the bottom box.
Yeah. So when you do that, you put the when you put the grafts, the initial grafts back in the box, you leave them in there for 2 to 3 days, and then you switch them. Then you put the cells on the top, and then you put the queen back down on the bottom board, and you remove the double screen board and put a queen excluder in between. So it's basically you're getting the gist that I was picking up. You're forcing a swarm, I guess tendency on them, because you pack that bottom box with so many bees, and then you also remove the queen's pheromone for a little bit. And well, maybe it's a super seizure or an emergency cell trigger. I guess that would be a better way to say it. And then once you flip them, it kind of reverts them back a little bit, but they're still going to finish drawing out all the cells. And you do have to check all the other frames.
Once those cells started, they'll automatically do it that way.
Okay, so the bottom is completely loaded up with like extra bees. You have
you had some brood in there, some cat.
You got you got a double layer, or whatever, not like a double excluder, whatever it is.
Double screen board, Norman.
Yeah, there you go, screen board. Yeah, you got the screen board, and the queen up top for the first couple days, right?
Yeah,
and then you basically switch the boxes.
Yeah, on like day 2 or day 3, you just pull. You got to be easy with it. You don't want to bump anything around, but you pull the queen out from the bottom. You don't take her out and take a frame out. You take the whole bottom box, or she's on the top. You flip them. You take the whole box where she's at, put it on the bottom, put the queen cells on top, and then put a queen excluder, not a double screen board. Remove the double screen board, put a queen excluder.
That's what we've been talking to you, Norman. You got to break that pheromone. That's what it's about.
No, I like what you did. Well, I have an interesting result to compare to that this week. Like I've been messing with that. I called it the Anne Frank method, which is what you're doing there. You keep the queen in the attic.
Yeah.
So when I do that and I kept her up there, I'd get a pretty decent result, and I would just use a queen excluder in between them. But like maybe 50% take. But this week I tried it the other way. I kept the queen in the bottom, and I put the cells on the top. And the first round of grafting I did, I had smattering of success, like not a lot, but they're getting drawn out now. So like not good, like maybe 7 of like maybe 10%, like 7 of 70 the first time around. And then 2 days later, I took basically I took all the whatever you would call it, all the cups that didn't work out, and I put new larvae in them and put them in 0.
I think it's because they probably weren't clean.
Well, they were clean, but it was 0 because they were up top, and I'm using a queen excluder as well. I'm not using
because the pheromones are still transmitting, and they're thinking they don't need to do this.
Right. But it's a result.
Or plastic the queen there for a day, and it'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
But the first ones worked because there was enough chaos in the hive because I had just moved all the frames around and all that. So they did feel like they were queenless, and they started to draw them.
Yeah.
And this hive I'm using is like a really strong hive too. So like this is a really good queen.
Yeah. So I took. You got to pack that bottom box. Whichever one your cells are in, you need to pack it with as much capped brood as possible. Leave as little uncapped brood in there. And I went to 2 other hives, and I pulled 2 frames each of nurse bees out, and I dumped them in the front to feed that box more. And it just stuffs them in there. And it's just like you really want to cause like a congestion in the hive. I think that triggers, like, this is the second time I've done it. I'm no expert, but I followed the Bob Benny video on how to do it to the T, except for like the beginning where you put a queen in her own little frame box and then have her lay 3 days ahead of time. I just went and found larvae, but everything after that part, I followed it to the T, and did something right this time.
It works.
Yeah.
I do pretty much almost the opposite, but that's the same thing. My queen is in the bottom. I do the cloak board thing, except they're homemade cloak boards. It's just a queen excluder that's I can put a piece of coroplast in it to shut it off.
Mm.
And I leave the queen in the bottom with almost nothing. She's like, when I start it, whatever frame the queen is on, she gets those bees that on that frame, and every other bee in the hive gets shaken into the top box. And then I'll shake, I don't know, anywhere between 4 and 8 frames of nurse bees on a t-shirt on the front of the entrance to go in the top, and you can't even see the front of the box when I'm done. And I mean, you can graft as much as you want into it, and they'll take it. And I just leave the piece of coroplast in there overnight, and then the next morning pour it out, and then they're all mingling again, and it's fine. And then the next round when I go to graft, I do the same thing. I just break it down, I find where the queen is, I pull that frame out, set it aside, shake all the bees back into that top box again, put her back in the bottom, put the coroplast in, and graft again. And I do that every week, and it works great.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking the way that Bob does it. He's counting on the workforce to come back, the field force, which will also.
If you put the queen upstairs, the foragers will come back around to the front end and populate the bottom of the box where your cells are.
Yeah, it'll stuff it. It'll cram it even more.
Right.
Yeah, well, the coroplast is only in there stopping them overnight.
Right.
And then it's just a queen excluder, so they can all still go back up there. And there's so many bees in the top. When you go to put that graft frame in there, it takes a while for it to get down because it's got to push bees out the way.
And really, what DC's better, you could put double screen board and put the coroplast, or just put the coroplast underneath the queen excluder or on top and do the same thing. It's all about blocking the pheromones, which the bees are passing it by antenna to antenna, mouth to mouth, going between the queen excluders up and down. You're stopping all that transmission of information.
Yeah, my cloak boards all they are is a queen excluder. It's got a rim on 3 sides of it, so I can slide a piece of coroplast in it, and pull it out. It's just a homemade cloak board.
Yeah, my double screen board was just an inner cover, and I took hardware cloth and I put it on both sides, like really thin like mosquito screen for our porch screen, and I just put it on both sides of the inner cover. That's all it needs. That, like it's not masonite board, but that really thin board for an inner cover. Yeah. That's all.
Luan or something.
Yeah, Luan. That's all you need. Just break it with 2 pieces of hardware cloth.
And I've done it that way too, with a double screen board, or you just put a piece of wood in there, a piece of coroplast, anything to stop the transmission of the pheromone works. And you just need to stop it for really a matter of hours, and then you can have a queen excluder.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's not necessarily the transmission of the pheromones, but it's more of they get crammed into one spot and they're like, oh, we need to go. They're just stuffed.
I think it's both.
More the pheromone, I think.
Right.
All right, Dottie wants to know, she's installed a package, and that afternoon they're bringing in pollen. Well, I would say maybe it's just something natural.
Well, I'm off to eat some spring lamb. Good night, gentlemen.
All right.
Later, Norman.
See you, Norm. Would you agree with that diagnosis there? You got a package of bees, but they're going ahead and starting to bring the pollen in.
Yeah.
They just
you can't let them plug it out. They need a little bit of pollen, but you don't want them to plug it out, and because they will plug it out where the queen needs to lay, and then you're stuck.
Yeah, but they're bringing pollen in just to bring in because that's what they naturally do, I presume.
Yeah, that's what they naturally do, but you either need to harvest it or...
Is this on comb or is this on foundation? I mean, where are they putting this pollen?
Yeah, and as far as DC, yes. DC, the queen excluder with when you put a piece of coroplast, some of them are pieces of sheet metal in there. It's called a cloak board, and Harry Cloak invented it over in, I think, what was it, either New Zealand or Australia, one of the two.
Yeah, I like the homemade ones better because the ones you buy, I feel like they're too thick, and you get a lot of a mess going on in there. I mean, mine are only they're not even 3/4 of an inch, like the whole thing.
Yeah, I made one myself. I never did use the dumb thing. I didn't quite grasp the concept. I just went ahead and I used my nuke box where it's queenless and just keep adding brood to it.
Yeah, there's so many ways to make queens, or so many ways to make cell builders. I mean, as long as you make it to where they think they're queenless, and there's a lot of nurse bees, and they've got food, you're good.
Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday I had YouTube on autoplay, and it came up with, I think it's somebody over in Australia. They're using those styrofoam mating nukes to make queens. He pulled up a frame and it had 4 queen cells on it. Them little teeny frames had 4 of them on it. And I was like, look at that. They're making them in the mating nukes.
I would not have thought there'd be enough nurse bees to do that.
Yeah, I probably have to go back to my history, but yeah, it was definitely over in Australia because they have a weird style box over there. But the guy that I seen doing it, I'm pretty sure he uses a little wooden dowel, and he wraps a piece of beeswax, like foundation, like just a little starter strip, gets them to draw it out. Then he puts sidebars on it once they draw it out, and then he puts it into the mini mating nets.
The Snellgrow board it's pretty much a double screen board, and there's an entrance that you can open and close on all 4 sides, on the top and the bottom, so that you can change where the bees are going. Like they get used to. If you got the top part of it coming in the back, you can close that and then open the bottom part in the back, and then the bees that were going in the top box are not going in the bottom box. So you can just kind of control which box they're going in. And
I don't know. That is the most confusing tool that ever was made, I think.
The way I was taught to use a Snellgrove board, okay, is you open a top entrance and a bottom entrance 180 degrees from the other one. And for the first 3 to 4 weeks that those bees are in that hive, you move that entrance once a week. And then that's the first 2 weeks. And then the second 2 weeks, you flip it so that what the side they were coming in on the bottom, you move that one to the top and then the other one to the bottom, and it evens your bee population out, supposedly.
Yeah.
And I don't know, somebody was using it for like swarm control, and they talked about using it for
requeening, swarm control,
and getting the nurse bees and this and that.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't have time for all that. I mean, you're sitting there playing with this hive for weeks on end, and it's like, forget it.
It's one of the more confusing ways to try to do it.
Yeah.
It just adds a whole bunch of steps that don't need to be there. I mean, the bottom line is, I look at it as a way. If you have it in there, you can't control the populations. Like if you got too many bees in this box and not enough in that, you can swap the openings and change that a little bit. But I mean, why is that really necessary?
Yeah, I don't know. They down at Maryland State level meeting, they had a splits class, and you had to pay for it and all. And that was one on this one, paper certified beekeeper was showing how to do that. And I'm like, why? I mean, what are you trying to do? I mean, we're making a nuke here. Let's just get a little bit, it's just like Dave, what was her name? The girl Emily out in Michigan, up here. Anyway, she was on that last video. Huh?
I got bees in my apartment, evidently.
Well, anyway, she was out there talking about how they were learned how they made splits when she was out in almonds out there or something like that, where they're using a queen, where you're pulling all your frames up that you want, shake all your bees off. Don't take the time to look for the queen. Put the queen excluder on, put the box that you had, the frames that you want up on top, come back the next day. The bees are all populated, covered, all the nurse bees are covered all these frames, then pull your split off and put it on the pallet, and you're done. And you can do a whole bunch of hives that way the one day, and then do it, and split it all the next. And you can go back, let's say 4 or 5 hours later, it might be well populated. I've always found waiting one day, the population is much better. And
you talk about BeeFit? Is it BeeFit?
yeah, BeeFit. She was talking about that, and I'm like, really, you didn't know that? I just, using a queen excluder by putting stuff above it, and then the bees will come up through it and populate.
Yeah, BeeFit.
And that was something that she stated on the video, which I found it quite, here she's running 200 hives before she went out to almonds, and she didn't know that technique. That was odd. But then she also said she was in Illinois, and the weather there she's used to up in Michigan, where it's cold, where Roy lives, we can't do a split with just 2 or 3 frames. We got to do a 5 frame in order to get it because of the cold weather and stuff, which I get that. It's also location relevant and all that. But yeah, Disha, she's learning, but I mean, when somebody's running 200 hives, you kind of know what you're doing. I mean, to be able to manage that amount. Well, Kevin, I have to agree with you there. Yeah, because she was out there with what's the queen breeder out in California? She
That's
was
the one to make the Golden West.
yeah,
Alvarez or something.
Alvarez.
Something like
huh?
that.
I think it's Alvarez.
Yeah. She was actually interviewing him too out there. I don't know how she got to do all that stuff.
Yeah, I talk about queen excluder
Oliveras.
splits all the time for new people.
Oliveras, that's it. Oliveras.
The people that are all worried about finding the queen and stuff, I'm like, just shake everything in the bottom. Find the frames you want to make your split with. Shake them into the bottom. Put a queen excluder, put a top box, come back the next day. And it's kind of foolproof.
Yeah.
So many people just can't do the queen thing.
Yeah. That's like I had an older guy. I think he was at some club somewheres, and he was trying to find the queen. I said, well, what did you find? Well, I found eggs in it. I said, well, then you're done. Don't worry about it. Put it back together.
And then there's my luck where I find eggs and say I'm done, and then I come back a week later and my hive's swarmed. Didn't check all the frames. There's a swarm cell in there. That's my luck.
Yeah, I shook through queen excluders this year more than I've ever done because the swarming season was just so bad. And I find a capped cell, and I'm like, if I find eggs, I'm like, well, she's still in here somewhere, and can't find her. I can't tell you how many times this year I had to shake everything through an excluder to find her to make a split.
Yeah, so the one hive that I had swarm, I caught her, and I'm not saying I did everything to try and keep that one hive from swarming, but I split a lot of my hives. Not split, but took frames out of a lot of my hives to feed a lot of my nukes. It's like I went from 9, now I'm at 28 hives. Or 9 starting the season, now I'm at 28. And I just kept pulling 2 to 3 frames out of each one of them every couple weeks. And that one hive that swarmed I think you could have just left the queen in there with 50 bees and they still would have swarmed. They just wanted to go somewhere. And I just kept cutting queen cells out, destroying queen cells, and they just did not want to just stay. They were
Once you get to a certain point, they're gonna go. I mean, you just have to split them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily I caught her in the swarm trap.
Yeah, Jeremy, he's having problems out there in California. There you go, Kevin. Came out there to talk with Kevin. Kevin said didn't have time to deal with her. And then Roy lives up in Michigan. He's about 3 hours. She's about 3 hours south of her, or she is of him. Doesn't know how she can run for almonds, and because of the weather conditions and stuff.
Do people truck stuff over to California and all that from the East Coast?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's
Everywhere in the country.
Yeah, Will that comes on here, he sent some bees out with another guy out in Western Pennsylvania on his truck. And here's Bracken. He sent bees out to California this year. Well, actually, last couple years.
From the flower store because I'm just.
What's up?
Bees.
Hey, things in Utah.
Dry.
Dry.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like to me you've had 6 inches of water laying on the ground out there. Was that
Yeah.
irrigation system or something that busted?
No, that was the flood irrigating.
Oh, is that where you flood the fields that way? Did you get that water out there like that?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Remember that video I did where I showed the ditches, how it
Yeah.
comes down, and then yeah. 'Tis the season for irrigating.
You got enough water to be able to do that out there?
No, we're pretty stretched thin, but everybody's we're watching the turn to the minute, so we've got 11 hours and 58 minutes worth of water, and you bet your butt at 11 hour or 10 hours and 59 minutes it'll be gone.
Mm.
Next guy will have it, but
So how's your you got your bees back, you got them split.
yep.
And you drop queens in. So how many how's things going with that? Everything's successful?
Yeah, I just did a count today. I'm at 89 colonies. They're all doing, knock on wood, they're doing pretty dang good. There's not a lot of bloom. I've been feeding them quite a bit. Been pumping through the syrup. But that's worth its weight in gold. A lot of my stuff has got foundation in it too, so I'm trying to draw out a fair amount of comb. I actually think this will be the last round that I feed them. I think the Russian olives might bloom, but we had that frost that came in and destroyed almost everything. I mean, there's hardly any flowers or bloom anywhere because it got so cold it destroyed all the crops. Our grain field right here in my backyard, it's toast. It looks good probably from there, but you get out in it and it froze so hard that it froze the joints where it grows, and it won't grow anymore, so it's just stunted. So we'll have to take a loss on it.
What's that, wheat? Is that
Yep.
what
Yep, it's just
we got our
winter
problem
wheat.
right now is we ain't get enough rain naturally. And my son said that they would spray some growth stunt, I'll say, on there so it doesn't get too tall and blow over, and lay the stubble over. And now
Yeah.
it's real short because of the rain, no rain, and we're gonna have we're not gonna have much straw hardly at all, and we sell a lot of that too.
Yeah, we had the orchards up on the mountain. There's a couple hundred acres worth of orchards up there, and they had 100% loss. There is not going to be a peach or an apricot or a cherry in the valley. It froze so hard it killed them all. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. If you got any peaches, you could probably come to Utah and sell them for a pretty penny. Maybe I ought to run to California and buy a truckload of peaches.
there you go.
Hey,
Because there's none in Virginia either.
Yeah, you guys. Did you guys
We
get
got
so
hit
cold?
by frost too.
Yeah, that frost is wicked.
Yeah, Will, he had bees down there close to where Bill lives, and on a 1,100-acre orchard of apples, I guess it was.
Yep.
And they had big bonfires roaring, I guess maybe pouring diesel fuel on them to get the smoke up in the air. And Robert made a video of it, and they had 2 helicopters flying around, stirring the air,
Oh, no joke.
stirring the
Yeah.
air up above the trees in order to keep
Yep.
it, keep it from getting cold and all
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, there's a few fans that people have in their orchards, but
I've
it's too
seen a
much.
video of that, but what happened? When I was growing up down in Florida, down at in the oranges, they had smudge potches, what we called them, where they filled them full of, I guess, diesel fuel, and you lit them off like that, and they were ever so many 100 feet, and it's I guess sent a plume of black smoke up into the air and kept the air warm with smoke. I guess you're not allowed to do that anymore.
No, they can't. They mixed diesel fuel and burnt motor oil in them, and the state of Virginia used to do that. Those little round balls with a flame on the top.
Yeah.
That was diesel fuel and burnt motor oil. They
Well,
called
that
them.
was the safety flares back
safety
then.
flares. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
put them out on the roadways, and
Yeah.
instead of having reflectors, you had the little fire affair like
Yeah.
that. I seen them years ago, and they were like antique then. I said, man, we need to get some of them. They're antique
Yeah, they are.
and all. Yeah. Yeah, climate change ain't changed anything.
No, it ain't ain't nothing changed.
Hey, Matt.
And the other thing they used to do in the orange groves is they had sprinkler systems out there. If they thought it was going to have a freeze or going to freeze, they turn these sprinklers on and cover the trees and the blossoms and everything with ice.
You heading out, Dave?
Oh no, I was wait. Is Sandy saying "Hey Dave" to me? Is there another Dave in the chat? Is DC Dave? Also?
No, DC's DC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, crazy weather. What do you do?
Yeah,
You know.
nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
I
nothing you
think
can do
the
about
thing
it.
of it is weather just has a cycle, and it cycles, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, DC is I knew it. DC is a Dave too, so I got 2 Daves in here.
So, Bracken, when is your flow?
Well, we usually have a spring one, but most of the bees were in California when that hit because it was so early. It was like a month and a half earlier than usual. And then it usually starts pretty good around June. So we're getting there. Like I said, I've seen some sweet clover, the Russian olives, the linden trees. I guess back east they call them basswood trees.
Yeah,
Guess
same.
they're the same family or same type of tree. The honey locust, those type of trees. But it should be starting now. The alfalfa, but like I said, most of that got hit pretty good with frost too, so it's quite a ways behind. We're getting close to the flow starting.
Seems like all y'all get started right when I'm ended.
Yeah. Where are you out of?
Louisiana.
I'm Southeast Louisiana. We got maybe 2 weeks, and then it's going to be a desert until fall.
Well, we'll
And then-
only have 2 months, and then it'll be back to a desert.
Now it'll be a wet desert, but if it's so hot,
And then you got Doug here. He's up there in Saskatchewan. He's got snow in the next 3 days up there in the forecast.
Yeah, that
That's
sucks.
crazy.
Keep it up there. I don't want it down here ever again.
We're supposed to get some nasty weather next week, so we'll see what it does. I don't think they're predicting snow, but at least rain.
So where are you at in hive count now, Bracken?
89.
89.
Yeah, getting close to 100.
What's your goal?
Sorry, my kids scream. My goal? This year or
He
long
wants a
term?
trailer load to go to
Long
California.
term.
Long term? Well, my wife's right here, so I only want a few more. Just a couple more.
200-300 at it.
A couple more
Yeah.
100.
You know, nothing more than 500, 600, 700, you know.
Bill said they lost all power down there in Virginia. Must have not paid his electric bill.
Bamberger.
Yeah, I don't know what my goal is. I do want to send a semi load of my own bees eventually, but that's,
Isn't that like
you know,
460 hives or something like that?
yeah,
Yeah.
430 to 480, just kind of depending on weight and stuff. So yeah, but in order to send that many, you know, I'm gonna have to have at least 550 or 6, I would assume, you know, because you're not gonna be able to send them all. You just send your best ones. So
Yeah. So did all your stuff make grade this year? Did you send out?
I sent everything this year, and I had 10 that did not make grade. So they still went into the orchards. I just didn't get paid for them.
How
So
much do you make per hive on that?
Per hive?
Yeah.
Do I make or do I get out of the? Because there's a lot of people in between me and that final check.
Well, like, how much do you end up getting about per hive? After
About per
everything's taken
hive?
care of?
It's about. Well, the contract is 198, and then by the time I pay my guy, he takes about 70. So I'm, you know, unless and depending on how many bees he shakes and stuff. So I'm one, whatever that is, 120, 130. What's the math on that?
128.
Yeah, so about 128 is my, you know, but then fuel costs me shit. This last time it cost me over $1,000 to go down and back. Last year it was, or just, yeah, it was bad. I think I spent $1,200 on fuel this year, this last trip, and in the fall it was like 700 something bucks. But
Yeah. And then Okie that's the guy that's taking care of your stuff, you know, down there. He, you know, works on all that.
yeah, he gets them into the almonds and babysits them, and like I said, he shook 200. I think he said 200 pounds worth of bees out of my colonies, and so there's a little bit of cut out of that, but
Right.
not much. I don't really do that part for a cut on his because it benefits me more than I think it benefits him. I mean, he gets bulk bees for his queens, which is great, but it prevents a lot of if he didn't do that, by the time I got down there and got those bees, I bet half of them would swarm. So by him taking a little bit of that pressure out of that nest, you know, shaking a few frames, I think it relieves that. Because when I get them home, it's like he didn't, you know what I mean? They're just packed.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Did you
I
see
don't
my
think
gra-
it'll
did you
send
see
them
my
a hive
grafting?
space. What's that?
Did you see my graft take last week, Charlie?
Yeah. Yeah. It was dynamite.
Yeah. 41 out of 45.
Yeah.
Basically a pro.
That's what I thought
got
when I
lucky.
checked mine. 55
You
out of
what?
60. That's what I thought when I checked mine. 55 out of 60.
55 out of 60?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And he was figuring on maybe 30.
Yeah. I did 60
Yeah.
because I thought I was only going to get 30 because last year I did 45 and got 18. So I was like, all right.
It's funny because I asked one of my buddies. He did down south a little ways, and he did some. He's like, "Really, 41 out of 45?" He says, "I got 3 out of 40." But he's an older guy, and he can't see worth a damn. I think so. I think he he was trying, but it's sure fun to watch that process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I enjoy
definitely a fan.
I enjoy queen room a lot. It's gratifying.
It's
I
my
wish
favorite part of beekeeping for sure.
it's what
It's my favorite part of beekeeping is queen ring for sure. I graft
it's
every Tuesday,
starting.
and I think I've only gotten 100% once ever. And I mean, I graft 40 cells on a bar, and I'm usually somewhere between 35 and 37
Heck yeah!
every week.
What do you?
I felt like I got 100%. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's how I was. 41, close enough.
Yeah.
I'm to a point though, like I don't need more queens, but I still want to. I need to see if I could maybe. I am gonna sell some cells, some queen cells, to a kid that's gonna come up next week and get some from me. For pretty cheap. But man, I almost wonder if I could just do that for fun because I want to keep doing it. I want to practice. I want to
Once
keep.
the word gets out that you got queens, you'll be the most popular guy in town.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I want that, but what do you do with all? Do you use all yours, Eddie? Like
Oh
if
God,
you
no! I'm
graft them.
always trying to figure out what to do with them. I mean,
So what?
everybody around me knows that they need them. Call me, and I'm constantly hassling other people. He needs some queens. God, give them away locally. Trying to get the genetics in the area like really thick. So
What
Yeah,
I'm
but
giving
genetics
it up
are
to
they?
people for
But
free.
Eddie, you're working with what's the college you're working with down there?
I work with the USDA Bee Lab out of Baton Rouge.
Ah,
And who's the science guy? Is that
Yeah,
Frankowicz?
Dr. Frank Rankovich is or maybe
Yeah.
Frankovich.
Well, you're getting
Cool.
VSH
Yeah, they're
genetic
pole line.
stuff and all that.
Yeah, it's USDA pole line stuff. And anybody that gets queens from me, I always contact them and say, hey, can you handle some extras? Because I'm going to fill the box up, I shut down several cell builders because it got just out of control. I mean, I was having 100 extra every week that I didn't know what to do. You know?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm only down to doing 2 cell builders now. If I need to ramp it up, I will, but I'm not getting hardly any orders. So I'm constantly hawking them off to people locally and making more splits here and there, requeening stuff.
Do you ever just have too many where you're just like, I can't?
Oh yeah, every week. Like there's some sitting in a box on table behind me. I don't know what's gonna happen because I got like 88 cells in the incubator right over there that have got to go into the bank in the morning. That's why the ones are on the table in the back because I had to take those out of the bank today because they came out last Sunday. They look great.
They're what, pole line, you say?
Yeah,
Now that's a different breed, I presume. It's not Italian, right?
it's mostly Italian. It's mostly Italian. They're really gentle though. I mean, like I said, I work with just a veil and a t-shirt 95% of the time.
Yeah, and you got virgins you're shipping?
Yeah, I just ship virgins. The mated queens thing for me this year was terrible. I mean, the minis were awful. Now I realize I'm just trying to leave them in there too long. I just don't understand why it worked for me last year. That's what's so weird because they worked perfect last year.
Maybe I ought to get some stuff from you.
Yeah, talk to me sometime outside of this, and I'll get you a bunch of queens up there. Tell me when you're ready for them. Be prepared for them. Like don't have them come in and then try to make your splits. Do it. Be ready for them ahead of time, so you have better success.
Do you sell any queen cells?
No.
Why?
I don't think I can ship them reliably, and I just don't. I don't.
That kind of sounds like a headache because, like, because there's a certain stage with the pre-pupil stage where they can really get jostled and messed up. Where I don't even think, even if I got experience with it, I don't even think I would want to ship cells. just for the likelihood of so many potentially hatching deformed and all that.
I mean, people
what
want
about
cells. They can come
my-
get them from me on Fridays, but nobody does. They'd rather just have a version. They know it's, and I'd rather give them a version too, because I have another step of culling then. You know, if it's a cell, there's a little bit of a chance something that's inferior can get
Right.
through.
And you
You
have
see
pretty
them
good
hatch in the
success
incubator.
selling virgins.
Now,
Somewhat.
Brett,
I mean, nobody knows who I am yet. I mean, this is the first year I started selling them, so it's going to take a little while to get my name out there. I mean,
Yeah.
the people that have gotten them from me so far, it's been like it's been good reviews. You know, they like them.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, they haven't had the stuff long enough to really know. You know, I know it's
Yeah.
good stuff. I believe in Dr. Rankovich's breeding program and what we're doing. It seems like it's working, and they're working for me. You know, I'm not telling anybody that they can go treatment free if they get my queens, because that's not true.
Right.
You know, last year I treated half, and I'm hoping this year when I go to start doing washes, it'll be less than half that I have to treat. But I won't know until after I pull honey and start doing the washes. But the theory is each year I'm in the program, it should get a little bit better each year as I saturate the area with more of the drones from the pole line.
well, that's what Frank wants to do down there, is try to saturate the area with that genetics and the VSH and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's trying it. He's going to start doing some genetic testing between where I'm at and where he's at, because he kind of wants to see how far the pole line genetics have gotten. He's hoping it's a slow dip down to the middle, and it doesn't just go across and drop. You know. Hope's honey, yes, I ship them next day air UPS.
See that, Bracken?
And I sell them for $20 a piece. The shipping is $45 flat fee.
Yeah, I'm seeing how long I can go before I got to cut my hair.
What's the usual cost on that kind of stuff, Eddie? You know?
Yeah, so I sell them on my website. They're $20.
No, I'm talking about like the overnight air at shipping. How much is that?
I do a flat $45 for the first box. If you are getting more than one box, it goes to $50 and never goes up after that. That pretty much covers every place I've had to ship so far. I'm told that there's some places I might end up eating a little bit, but most of the time if I just charge that flat fee, it's easier than trying to figure it all out. When I buy a label, it's usually like right around $44. So
yeah,
so
Queen, beekeeping queen. Yeah, Eddie just does what, pole line?
Yeah, it's the pole line from the B Lab.
And he's getting his genetics out of the agriculture department down there with Frank.
Yeah, it's Frank
Rankovich.
Yeah. I'm in a 5-year breeding program that he's running, and we're in year 3 of it right now.
And what is he doing there? He's going out and testing your genetics.
Yeah, there's a group of us that are in it. Kent Williams down here, and I are kind of we're the ones heading it off in this area. And in about September, Frank and some other people from the B Lab will come to Kent's house, and the group of us that are in the program will bring the stuff that we think is good for them to test. And I test a bunch on my own too, because I don't want to monopolize their time. I'll probably bring like 10 frames from 10 different hives, and I'll only bring stuff that washed well on all the 3 months in a row. And just because I don't want to monopolize their time, I don't bring more than 10 usually. And then I do Harbo assays on my own. I don't want to bring 30 or 40 colonies worth of stuff and have them have to do that many assays. They're not that hard to do. They're just kind of tedious.
I gotta go. Good seeing you
All right,
guys.
Bracken, good to see you, buddy.
See you, Bracken.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Thanks for answering some questions, Eddie. And Dave.
All right,
Easy,
later.
Bracken.
Later,
See you
Chief.
guys.
See you, then, buddy.
Hey, Charlie,
All right.
Crazy Jay's got a question.
Who?
Crazy Jay.
Crazy Jay.
Yeah, it says my queen is laying spotty brood or shotgun brood, and I feel like my bees are getting more aggressive, and there's a lot of drone brood. I think. What do y'all think is up, and what should I do?
Oh, there we go. My queen. Okay, there we go. I'll be back. Let's see. What's Kevin? All you guys do on. You're making me feel like I'm a real.
Yeah, right.
You're full of crap. Now, from what I gather, Kevin, you got a special guy. I'm not. Let's see. I don't know whether he's actually one of your relations or not down in Mississippi, where you send your queens out of your bees out of California, and he does all the queen rearing for you. That's what I heard. All right, Crazy Jay. Let's go back to Crazy Jay.
I mean, have you done a mite wash on them? I mean, if you got a high mite load, that can stress them a lot, and it can also, if they're hygienic, it can make it look like a spotty brood pattern because they're pulling out the pupa. I'd look at the eggs and see what the pattern looks like where the eggs are, not just the cap brood.
Well, the thing of it is, how old's the queen? Is it a 1 year old, a 2 year old? If it's a 2 year old, get rid of her.
There's a lot of drone brood. Is it like symmetrical drone brood, like it's in certain spots, or is it drone brood all over the frame? If it's drone brood all over the frame, I think she's going drone layer.
Yeah.
It could be running out of sperm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's washed up. Definitely.
Somebody asked me about the introduction process. So what I suggest, pull a nuke, like make yourself a strong nuke in the same yard that you want to get the virgin mated. Have that set up, let all the foragers fly back to the original hive, so you got pretty much just nurse bees in there. Give it a week. Go in, knock down all the cells, put your caged virgin in there, let them candy release her, leave it alone for 2 more weeks. And
now, you figure they're going to release her in what, 3 to 4 days in the candy?
Probably less than that, really. It's
or
pretty quick.
Would you put a little bit of masking tape over it and slow that down?
I don't. It would hurt. I don't guess. I don't usually do it though. I think when you're going to put a queen in real quick, like when you're making them queenless and you're putting in the queen the next day, then I want to slow the release down. But at this point, they've been queenless for a week, and they don't have anything to make a cell out of anymore.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that too with my because I've done 2 rounds of nukes for my personal yard, and the first round of queens that I had hatch, when I immediately released the virgin into the hive, it wasn't even giving them a day. It may have been like 4 hours. They off that virgin, dead. And I was like, all right, I'm getting tired of losing queens. So, because I just kept having swarm cells and all that popping up, because I did Demery methods too, and they drew up swarm cells everywhere. And then when I started putting them in a cage and I just put a marshmallow down there and let them slow release, it was almost 100% take on all of them.
I mean, one of the things that really ups it a lot is if you move whatever you're putting the queen in off of the original location. So that you really don't want very many foragers in that box. If it's mostly nurse bees, they're just so much more accepting than foragers are. So I always try to tell people if you can make up a nuke and move it to a different location. I mean, same yard, just on a different stand or just over a little bit, so that all the foragers go back to the original hive and you're just left with a bunch of nurse bees. It helps. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he said that she's 2 years old. Right there's your problem. She's wore out. I mean, the way I'm running my hives right now with the Demery and all that kind of stuff, I wear her out in a year's time. I'm replacing her every year because she ain't worth a darn on the second year.
Yeah, Jay, if you listen to David Burns or whatever, he'll say, if you notice something's wrong with your, I think it's David Burns. I think he says it. And I actually think Cayman Reynolds says it too. that if you notice something wrong with your hive, that a lot of times a brand new fresh queen can fix quite a few things.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I found.
Yeah, and after you got a queen laying in that nuke, if you're trying to requeen a hive, then go pinch the queen you're trying to requeen and just drop the nuke right into it. And you haven't lost any laying time because that other queen was laying in there the whole time. You were getting the virgin mated in the other box too.
Yeah, I mean, that's where if you read Doolittle's book, he does the same thing in there 150 years ago. Raises
It's
up
not
the
a
nuke.
new concept.
No, it's not really. And then you figure most of your folks like, oh, Kudik's down there, Chuck, when they're making up 500 nukes, they're pulling frames out of a hive, putting them in a nuke box, dropping a cell in there, and then they come back 30 days later or whatever, and they got an established nuke. And it's the same concept, it's and all that. All right, Kevin, we'll catch you later. Thanks for stopping in.
Bye, Kevin.
And all that. So
Yeah, that's another thing too, Jay. I had that happen with me, and you got to watch that. If there's a heavy pollen flow coming on, they can plug out, and the queen just can't lay anywhere, and it may look like spotty brood. It's just the foragers aren't giving her a place to lay. I've had that with a couple of my hives, but then when I swap some frames around, the one hive that I did it with, I took the queen completely out. I put her in her own little nuke box. I made a 2-frame nuke out of her, and when her foraging force was gone, she did full bricks, full frames at that point. But before then, I thought she was having spotty brood and was failing. But also, she only had 1.5 frames to lay on. So, but she's doing good now.
So, but feeding sugar water, but they're still not making a ton of comb. Well, Ray, where are you living at? Or Jay?
Anybody in my area, Southern Maryland, need some queens? I got a bad or a good problem going on right now, and I don't know if I can handle it.
Mm-hmm. What kind of queens are they? Italian?
Carniolan and local mutts.
North Carolina. Okay.
And last year, I started noticing with the. So I got Carniolans from Man Lake, which I'm pretty sure they get their Carniolans from Oliveras, and I made my first round of splits there, and I made my first round of queens there, and they were all bred with local stock. And then that's when I started noticing hygienic behavior with the new queen's brood. It wasn't a lot, but it was quite a few. Like you see, like 4 or 5 cells that were ate off, and they started pulling the larva out. So I was wondering. I was thinking. I was like, did I tap into a hygienic trait down here or something, or was it just like bad genes? But with these new rounds of queens that I got coming up now, I'm going to give them a little bit, but then I'm going to start looking to see if there's actually that trait showing up with them too, if it wasn't just a one-off.
Yeah, I mean, you can select for it. I mean, there's some of that all around,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the feral bees have it too. I mean, everything in my breeding program, most of it came from the bee lab, but I mean, some of the stuff from my original stock made it and is still testing perfect. in the breeding program. It didn't come from the bee lab, and they're like, no, keep that in there. I mean, as long as you have all the traits that you want and you're testing fine, there's no reason to not keep that in the breeding program. And like I said, as long as they're gentle and they're taking care of the mites, I don't really care what line technically they are. As long as they have the VSH trait, you know. But gentleness is key for me. I don't care how productive they are and how VSH they are. If they're not nice, they're not gonna make it long with me.
Yeah, that's what I did with this round of grafts. I was debating hard on who to graft from because there's good, like when you have a lot of hives. I mean, when you start noticing traits in hives, it's like, do I want the one that went gangbusters, but they had a high tendency to swarm? Do I want that? But they drew out frames, they filled up comb, or do I want the one that just went balls to the wall, laying up brood and all that kind of stuff? I had 4 hives that I was debating on picking from, but then I was like, you know what? How about I start with the gentle queen? She's gentle. They didn't want to swarm. She laid the boxes up. Didn't draw a single swarm cell out, and I mean that was it. I mean, she was a good layer, gentle, and her hive didn't want to swarm. So that's what I went with, and we'll see what happens with those.
You should start doing some mite washes and see how they're taking care of the mites too.
Yeah, I haven't done any mite washers yet. I kind of just was it 2 weeks ago was the second round of mites or second round of OAV I did, and then that's all I've been doing is just OAV. I don't treat anything else. I don't plan on it. I'm not going to go not treatment free, but I don't want to use like harsher stuff other than OAV. If it ends up taking the hive, it takes the hive. That's how I look at it. But
I'll do some thymol also, but that's all I use is OAV and thymol.
Right. Is the thymol only when you notice something really bad's kicking in?
Yeah. So after I pull honey, probably in a week or maybe 2 weeks, that's when I start all my washes, and that's like the worst week of beekeeping for me. I hate it because I got to go wash over 150 hives, and that's just miserable work.
And it's hot.
And it's so hot. it's so hot, and hopefully I get it done before the flow's completely finished, because I learned the hard way that if you wait until you're in the dearth and you're going through that many hives in that kind of weather, you start getting, I don't know, it's really hot, and the bees, even my bees, will start getting a little bit testy when you're shaking them and there's no nectar and everybody's home. And I still don't want to put on a jacket.
What's your website, Eddie? Roy wants to know.
NorthshoreBees.org.
North what?
There's a link on my Facebook page to it too, if that's easier for you. When my name's right there on the screen.
NorthshoreBees.org.
Yep. The actual URL or whatever is going to say something different. Violetta does all that stuff for me, and she's like, it started off as NorthshoreBees.org, but now she's changed it. Now NorthshoreBees.org is still, it'll get you there, but what it's going to say in the top is like VSH Virgin Queens or something like that. I don't even actually know. She just changed everything over like a week ago.
Yeah, because I just seen that.
I am computer illiterate. I don't do technology stuff at all. So I'm lucky. I have this lady that doesn't mind doing all that stuff for me, and I do whatever I can for her with the bees. Whenever she needs queens, I drop them off to her. Or if she needs help, I'll do whatever I can, because I would be lost without her.
Yeah, when it comes to making websites, I play video games and all that kind of stuff, and I'm very hands-on with my computer. But when it comes to like making websites and all that kind of stuff, I'm right there with you.
I can barely do Facebook. It was hard for me to figure out how to do this the first time.
It's VSHVirginQueens.com.
Yeah, if you type in NorthshoreBees.org, you'll get there too. that VSH version that just happened like last week. She decided to change some things up. Like if you think that'll
There
help,
it is, everybody.
oh, okay.
Hey, Travis. Got a nice picture of you grafting.
Actually, it's a picture of me doing a hardware assay.
Yeah, that's right. It's got tweezers in there.
Yeah. I can take no credit for the website. Like none.
Yeah, last year I didn't. I was just looking at DC's thing where if he treats, he'll lose the queens at his peak time, so it's not that bad. Last year I didn't. I did OAV treatments in the fall because that was when I got my vaporizer, and those were the only treatments I got, and I got 9.5. I call it 9.5 because I had one hive that just I don't know what happened to her. Her whole hive just the population gone. She didn't swarm because she was still in there, and there was probably like 3 frames of bees in there, and there was no dead bees around the hive. I don't know what happened, but I was like, all right, she ain't got enough to make it through the winter, so I put her on top of a double deep, and she made it through the winter. All of them made it through the winter, and that was the only thing I did was just OAV treatments. I did that religiously for a month, like every 4 days, and didn't treat anything else. So I'm going to follow through with that and see if I can keep up with that. And
Yeah.
I mean, last year was the first time I ever used thymol. I only used OAV before that.
Yeah.
I decided to try it out last year. So, Tom, she used to own a company that built websites, but she sold it. So she does, but she doesn't do it. That's not her job anymore. But she knew I was trying to. She heard I was trying to work on it, and she's in the club. She said, "Oh, I can do that for you." I'm like, "Please."
Hey,
he's the one that helped Jeff get his YouTube channel back.
Yeah. Hey, Travis, did Jeff get his YouTube back or not?
Yeah, he just got it back.
How do you? Doesn't YouTube police their own darn thing or what?
nope, not unless you make a fuss about it.
And you can't evidently find somebody to fuss too. She was telling me they had to actually go on X and find somebody on X to contact the YouTube people. It was a huge fiasco.
I think it may have had something to do with the size of his channel too, because I don't think they'll just do it for any Joe Schmo. Like if they look at my YouTube channel and be like, "Hey, he's got 60 subscribers, he can start a new one." With Jeff,
Well, my question is somebody who spoofs it, what are you gonna do with it?
they take so what they did with they did the Artemis launch for NASA, and they put a live stream on there, and they're using his subscriber base to get ad revenue off of all the people watching his live streams. And I think there was also a couple other things that were mixed in with that too. But that's one thing that they do. A lot of times they do when they take a big YouTube channel, they try to stream as much stuff as possible to get ad revenue running off of it. Because they'll take your YouTube AdSense too. That's the monetization thing?
Seems like that'd be easy to track and catch somebody if they're getting money from it, you know?
Yeah, but it's like YouTube doesn't know it's a problem until you say that your channel got stolen. So if you go through all the right checks and you change all your emails and everything and nothing's bad and nobody complains, YouTube ain't going to step in. When you start complaining or find some way to
Well, you had all these other big boys complaining to YouTube too on YouTube.
Yeah, so that was the thing. Jeff had he has such a reach with people too. He has a huge channel for one, and he has a lot of people that'll go to bat for him. And when a lot of people start making a fuss on X, that will draw attention. But if it's like small YouTubers, you better off just starting a new channel at that point.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, hey, you should use the Abby B's channel for making like little shorts. So like, when they catch Good Time Charlie actually working, just put it on there and all that. But that'd be funny. But he's dead set on just making one YouTube channel or just keeping one YouTube channel, which I get.
he's had it for so long, you know.
Yeah. But it's like I said in this thing, he read it. Try doing shorts on the Abby Bees channel and keep all your normal content, like your normal long form content, on Jeff Horchoff Bees, and then just do shorts on the Abby Bees, because like when you start mixing content, or if you do long term content and you throw shorts in there, it messes with the algorithms. I see this on so many YouTubers that I watch that they will have a completely separate channel for shorts and stuff, because they want their main channel to be the long form algorithms. Once you start intermingling the two algorithms, it starts throwing things off.
Well, the biggest thing with the algorithms and all that, and from what I gather, like Randy McCaffrey and all that, he said used to be when he was doing it, he was kind of like the only guy around. Now everybody's doing it, including me and whatever, doing the videos. There's hundreds of us, thousands of us, and everybody, you're not getting all that focus in one channel, where they're, growing up to where he said, I was getting to the point where I could make a living at it.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So, yeah, the AdSense thing takes you got to have at least $100 for they pay you and all that.
Yes, I think the only thing with everybody's starting up YouTube channels for everything. You could do this across the board, but I think the only thing that'll actually, how am I going to say this? I think it's your time in YouTube will determine a lot of things. Not necessarily if you're funny or all that. If you're just consistent, I think that's where a lot of people will outshine some.
Well, it's like, and also the content, where beekeeping is kind of a small genre, I guess you would call it. Whereas, like, if you're a small farmer, or what do they call them? Homesteaders type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a few of them, and some of them got 100,000 subscribers on them. Well, that is the in thing, I guess you would call it. And like, there's one of them on there that he puts out a video pretty darn regular. And I think also, he has merch, and he has the private member side of it, where he'll maybe talk about what he's making on beef and stuff, at the sales and things like that, where you have to be a member to do that. And they must be cutting a pretty good check. I'll put it to you that way, from what I gather.
Well, if they're doing like Patreon things, you can
Patreon, that's what I'm talking about. All those types of things.
You can have it set up to where subscribers pay $15 a month, and then if you got 100 subscribers paying $15 a month, that's
$1,500 a month.
$1,500 a month guaranteed. And all you got to do, I mean, I'm not saying it's all bad, but all you got to do is just throw some shit out there saying that you're getting told something that none of the other people are getting told, and you keep true to the Patreon terms of service, really.
Well, the thing of it is when you're doing all that, I guess what I'm looking at is I have a hard enough time trying to get a video. I try to always get one a week, but between weather and what's going on in the bee yard, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know how a lot of y'all do it. Like my girlfriend and my parents and other people are like, "You're going to do your YouTube channel." Like, I don't have time to do a YouTube channel, and I'm terrified of electronics. I just.
Well, it's like tomorrow, I'll try to get my camera out there, and I'll, show everybody what happened in the grafting part. And then I'm going to be having a helper with me, and he's totally new to beekeeping. So he's going to be more of a gopher than anything else to a certain extent. And we're going to demory the hives, check out the brood in the bottom chamber and stuff like that, and move it around. And then with these cells coming up, I got to put them in the incubator, which that's another thing. I got to go downstairs and turn the incubator on. And I got to, like you say, Eddie, I got to get those mating boxes populated, get all that stuff started and that kind of thing. So I'll be working at it Saturday and Sunday probably.
I do a little bit of video stuff, but it's very minimal. I do no editing, and I just post it on my Facebook page, and that's it.
Sometimes that's the best. The raw, the uncut stuff.
Well, everybody talks about editing and taking so many hours and all that, and doesn't take that long. Not the way I do my stuff. I have it in my head. I have the intro. There's 3 parts to the videos. You got the intro, then you got the body of it, and you got your outro. You set up, say, hey guys, it's me, and we're gonna do this, this, and this, or let's go over here to the hive. Well, that's when you shut the computer or shut the camera off. You set up your tripod. All right, I hear I'm at the hive, and then I'll say, well, let me bring you up closer. Well, that's where I shut the camera off, bring the tripod up, turn it down, make sure they can see everything real close, because you want to see like I'm seeing. You want to be you want your eyes to be as close as my eyes, and on the camera. And I sit there and show what I'm doing. And then I set the camera back. It might be just for that one hive, would be the 15-minute video or something. And what I'm getting at is when editing, everything on my camera's voice command. Stop recording, start recording, and all that. You hear that on the recording, but you chop all those little things off and put it together and put a dissolve transitioning thing, which is automatic on your program. And I already have my intro and outro video part, the guitar music, and then the banjo stuff at the other end. And I just link all that together, and half an hour, I'm done. And there's other people say, they'll do hours worth. Well, they're putting all kinds of fancy stuff in. It's like, nah. I remember, and he talked about it, was Duck River out there. He talked about he had a close-up camera running and a backward camera and all these, and then he had to try to marry all that stuff together. Talk about complicated. That's complicated.
Yeah.
All I do is grab my phone and talk.
Yeah, well then I'll go out and do a 3-minute short, which is nice, better than a minute. And I covered one thing there, I forget what it was. It was within 3 minutes. And it was, kind of quick and easy, and then you just upload it and you're done. There's no editing at all that I know how to do.
Yeah, me, I kind of, when I go out there, last year I was doing long form content where I was recording the whole thing. The only thing I would cut out is like if I had to go walk away to go get something and come back. But then there's kind of a peak where that's fine. And once you start going past like 10 to 12 hives, you got to cut back on the videoing, because sometimes it'll take you like 20 to 30 minutes per hive if you're videotaping. And then it's just me with a camera. Like I try and set it up. If y'all watch my videos, like they're not the greatest. I just put a camera looking at the bees, and I just happen to be in the frame. Yeah. And
you have to, you try to keep. I always like to keep it 15 or 20 minutes long. That's as far as the long format, as they call it. But I try to have a subject. I guess you might say I try to teach. It's like, okay, I'm going to go in my hive. Like last year, I talked about setting up the queenless cell builder, and then going in and refreshing the queenless cell builder. Things that it's like what we're talking about here today. Like Eddie talks about taking that nuke out of that hive, put that cell in there, or put that virgin queen in there, and go through these certain steps. I try to bring that out on film, saying, okay, now I'm going to make this nuke up. And then let's say I'll come back 6 days later, whatever. And I said, okay, it's been 7 days. I'm going to go through here and cut all the queen cells out. And he explained that it's a absolute hopelessly queenless hive, and then show me putting a cell in there, or put that virgin in there in a candy cage, and try to do it that way. But it is true. I mean, I went out there in the evening, and and set up that cell builder and stuff. And that would have been nice to video, but it was time constraint and weather constraint. And I'm like, I just don't have time to video that part of it.
Yeah. And that's like, there's also like two different, you're on one different spectrum than I am. This is still like my beginning journey into beekeeping, because like I'm going into my second season.
You're doing more of a blog, I guess is what they call
Yeah,
that.
it's just like y'all are learning with me when you watch my stuff, and like you see what I see and all that kind of stuff, and it's like and then when I see something and I question it, I'm like, I may have to look at that. I may have to think about that or go look that up when I'm done after here. And then other people might comment and say, hey, it was this or was that? Did you see this? It's not necessarily on my videos, but I see it with other people's videos too. And it's like, do not watch me to learn. Watch me to learn what not to do. If anything.
Yeah, Crazy Jay, we told you to replace your queen. She's wore out. She's 2 years old. And Doug there out in Saskatchewan, and yeah, Doug, that's exactly what it is. I have a script in my head. I know what I want to talk about, and sometimes I'll be working at the mill or whatever, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do this weekend in the hives, and I'm also thinking about, well, I can do this with a video. I can, I could do this and say this, and kind of get ideas of things that I want to say, and that kind of thing, and things like you were saying, you had to walk away and get something, but and you cut that out in the video. I try to make sure that everything is set up around me where I try to make no lag time in the video. My tools are right here. My aluminum seat or benches are there ready to be worked, or something simple like I got straps around mine. That's the first thing before I start filming. I take my strap off. That's so many seconds there that don't need to be filmed. You don't need to watch me take my strap off.
Right.
And then something that I do, I've learned in the film thing where I'm going to bring you up close or take you far away with the camera. I put my hands on the top of my hive or on the sides of the box, same placement of my hands. I'll say, well, let me take and bring you up a little closer. And I have myself with my hands on the side of the box. Well, there's a trailer of the video there that you tell the camera to shut off. And then the next time you see me, you're closer, but my hands are still at the same place. So you're marrying up the two pieces of film.
Right.
And it looks like it went perfectly, type of thing. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you should know.
And I want to say hi to what was it, Louisiana?
Southern Louisiana home.
Yeah, Southern Louisiana family. I just say hi to you.
Somebody, Crazy Jay, thinking queens are good for 5 years. That's real rare.
Crazy Jay. That's something that somebody wrote in a book. And books are never right. The thing of it is, Craig, when we didn't have mites and tracheal mites and varroa mites and hive beetles and putting all this stress on these bees, which I don't know anything about that because I came after, I got into this stuff when all that stuff had happened. That's when, and you didn't have the sprays and all these other viral loads and stuff. That's when you could get maybe 5 years out of a hive. But today, with the mites, which spread the viruses and all the stressors in the hive, it ain't happening. For me, I demarie. I push that queen to lay as many eggs as she can the first year. And by the second year, yeah, she made it through the winter, but she ain't laying worth a darn come that spring. She's pretty much wore out. And that's where I've learned here in the last couple of years, I need to replace that queen every June or July. So that's, some of the things that you have to.
I try to replace all the queens every year, but it doesn't really happen. But I don't want them to. I mean, anything green this year's got replaced for sure. But there might be some blues that'll slip through the cracks, and they'll be the first ones to get replaced next year.
Well, I just got the text from South Louisiana family. That's Lee. Welcome aboard, Lee. Good to see you again. Kodiak Farm.
I thought that was Cody. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now it's South Louisiana family. Southern Louisiana family, Lee. Cool.
I'm gonna try and record.
It's not too far from me, I don't think, right?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I'm thinking he's like in the Hammond area, maybe. I'm not positive though.
But yeah, but that when it comes to queens, yeah, replace them every year and no more than every 2 years. Because after the second year, after the second honey buildup, then you need to get rid of her. She's wore out. Denham Springs.
Okay. That's new too. Actually, I lived in Walker for a little while, which was right next door.
Or if anything, you can pull her out of a hive and use her as a resource hive for your mains, and then just replace her at the end of the year, or offer and then merge her colony in with the main hives. I mean, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
No, you don't take her to the third year, but you still get some use out of her. You let her produce for your yard. Yeah, I'm thinking about requeening like every 2 years. I'm gonna just let that go. I mean, luckily, all my original queens, they all died off, and I didn't have to requeen them. So,
I mean, Charlie's exactly right. If they've only gone through one build up, they're good. You know, so like the queens that I make from here on out this year, like after the flow and stuff, I'm not worried about replacing them right away next year. They're
Well,
good.
they should be good. If you put them
all the way to the following.
flow, they should be able to go through next year's flow,
Right.
and then replace them, or
Exactly.
depending on how you run them. Like me, I'm pushing them hard. You know, it's like a cow, like a dairy cow. If you feed that cow to get as much milk out as that cow you can, I mean, I don't do dairy, but I think you can burn that cow out within 3 or 4 years. And you instead of 10 years if she just goes along. You know, it depends on how much you push them. Backbone. DC says most of my queens make it 3 seasons. It's the store-bought ones I have problems with. Yeah, I think DC depends on how you're working them and that kind of thing too.
Yeah. I push mine too. You know, I try to start them early.
Isn't the store-bought ones? They're usually just as soon as the breeder sees that they're laying, they cage them and send them off.
Well, I think what Eddie's doing here, Eddie's trying to do 21 days. Well, he's doing the same thing that Bob Benny talked about, where that information, it was proven that if you let that queen lay for 3 weeks, then she's calmed down and she's better accepted in another hive and all those different types of things. And where 1 week less makes a huge difference in the studies.
Like super seizure went up like 30 or 40%.
Yeah. Right. And that's where I'm coming off with the fact that I want to do these nukes and start them out at, let's say, 3 frames and just add brood to them to let her keep on laying where she becomes a small established hive, and then pull the old queen out and just drop her in. And I think you got that 3 weeks worth of her laying in there, and she's established and calm and collective, and she's sure of herself. I'll put it to you that way. And you can also judge her on her brood pattern and really make a good choice, whether she's a crappy queen or you know, like it's for me, I got 18 production hives. All right, well, let's make 20, 25 nukes. And, you know, maybe there might be a few of them queens that are duds. You never can tell.
And the other good thing is when you do it that way, your original queen is still laying this entire time. So you've got this window that you've got 2 queens laying, and you're going to combine all that together. So you get an extra boost of brood by doing it that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because you got the nuke brood, and then you got what the other brood from the other queen, and you combined all that together, and you got a powerhouse, you know.
Right.
And then that's another thing that I'm thinking about here, and I'm listening to what Bob says down there. I'm doing apricot, well, thymol, and I did it last year for the first time. And I talked to some of my friends around here, and he said, well, you know, if it's around 90 something, don't worry about it. I think it's probably, you're hot down there too, Eddie, aren't you? 90, 95 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, are
today
you
was
doing
like
25 grams, or
Our
are you doing,
humidity's like 95% though, is what's
but if
so
you
bad.
put 35, what are you putting in, 50 grams or 35?
No. Actually, I did 25 grams.
25 for
last year,
four
times,
weeks.
Yeah. This year, I think I'm going to chop it and do 3 treatments instead.
I'm figuring on 35, 35, 30.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do something just like that.
I'm going to do that and push it. And I want to condense that down to 3 weeks. Now, a lot of people say you're supposed to do it 10 days, 10 days, and 10 days because it's 30 days. Well, if you're going to do that, you might as well just do the 25.
Is that like the gel you put on like a pack, or you
put on
put it
pad.
in the hive and you put it over the brood?
With my hives, I buy the bucket. I'll go through a 3 kilo bucket a year. Compared to those tins are expensive. There's 50 grams in a tin. And if you're trying, you know, with the bucket, you can syringe it and make up your own dosage. You can do a 25, you can do a 35, or you can do a 50. 50 is for 2 weeks, 25 is a week per week for 4 weeks continuously, or you can do a 35, and a 30 in 3 weeks, and you're done.
I think, I mean, don't quote me on this, but remember, I think it was the Kentucky Kent Williams. I think he said something about if it's hot, he'll put another brood chamber or another brood box on top and put the stuff over top of it, and that way it doesn't nuke what's down there, but it's still slowly.
Well, you put it up on top of the hive.
Acid, though.
You put it up on top of the hive, the pay. You don't put it in between the boxes.
Right.
But you can put a medium super up there. I always with that stuff. I got like 1.5 inch shim that I put up there. Now, I talked to the guys down there at Nobby that make this stuff, and they say if you go, the instructions that come with it, just throw it in the trash. Go to their website where it frequently asks questions. There's 26 of them in there that they talk in plain English of what you're supposed to be doing with this stuff. Why they don't print that out and put it on there, I don't know. But one thing he said down at Nobby was you don't have to put, if you got a screen bottom board, you don't have to cover up the screen bottom. Just keep the entrance wide open.
Yeah, I didn't put the boards underneath it.
That's right. He said that's fine. Now under Formic Pro, you got to close the bottom screen up, but leave a completely wide open entrance when you have it on there.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the formic acid.
Well, for me, I only used that in September, about a week or so after Labor Day. And in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been in the 70s. So it's perfect weather for that. You know, but now in your area, I guarantee you got to be putting it on in January.
Yeah, there's no way I could do it. I mean, I would love to be able to use it. I hear nothing but good things about it, but I mean, I also hear horror stories if you're really humid and it's hot, you know.
Well, humidity, I think, plays a big part in that.
And our humidity is just ridiculous.
Oh, I don't know how you stand it. I couldn't live there.
I don't stand it very well. It's why I don't almost never wear a bee suit. It's just it's like a big wet blanket on you immediately. I mean, our humidity's been in the 90s almost every day this week, I think. It's nasty. You know?
Yeah.
We get that humidity too, but not as long as you do. It'll hit for
Yeah.
like maybe we might get it for like 3 weeks, maybe a month, where it's really bad, but then it's gone.
Yeah.
And we got
So
water
anyway, that's
everywhere.
another thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do the 35, 35, and 30. I'm not going to worry about pulling that screen bottom board so it can breathe because the vapors sink. Well, you got vapor and then you got the bees going through the gel to carry it out. And they get it on them and they kind of carry it through and spread it through the hive. And it does work about killing mites. Now, another thing I'm going to do is, and Benny says they say not to, but Benny does it. He feeds them bees in July and August. And around here, but Dave, it's the dirt. And that's one thing that stuff will do. It will shut that queen down. I seen that this past year. I didn't have the big, nice brood like I like.
Did you have you didn't have any dead outs this year, did you?
Any what?
Any dead outs?
No. Well, I had a few. Yeah, they were dwindling. What do you think I should do? Just wait a lot of options? Jay, as far as I'm concerned, if you got crappy pattern and everything else, I'd be getting myself a new queen. That's what I'd be getting. I'd take her out.
I think he was talking about splitting earlier, and I think he's only running. I think he's only got a 10-frame box. It says
Who's that?
10 frames.
Who's Jay?
And if you and DC said to splitting them would be fine, but I would say you take the queen in 2 to 3 frames out, and then leave the rest and split them in half, and then see what happens. You can always combine them back later.
All right, Todd, you were saying if you're going to do 35, 30, you don't want to go 30 days. You better make sure you go 24 days. 2 sevens are 14, 3 sevens are 21. 21 or 24? Okay. That's, I was going to do that 30, 35, and I was scared about the heat is what I was scared about.
Hey, Todd, I hadn't seen you on chat in a while.
Well, it's early for him in a way. It's only 6 o'clock out there or something like that, and it's 10 now. You want to jump on for a few minutes? I'm about ready to shut things down, Todd. All right, 24 days to cover the brood cycle. Okay. That's with the drones and all that.
Seems like Todd's always cooking or eating.
Yeah, he's always cooking. Yeah, give me a few minutes, he says. All right. Shovel it in, Todd. Shovel it in.
Put it in the microwave with a paper towel over.
No, Todd likes to cook, I think. All right, Jay. You say Jay won't have drawn comb. I don't know.
I do have one question. I noticed it, and I have my opinions on it. But one of my queens, it's got like bullet brood almost. There is a lot of, not a lot, but there is a good amount of drones intermixed with all the worker. And she is a brand new queen. And when I first checked her, when I first saw her eggs, she did have some cells that were double laid. Could that potentially be she's just dropping eggs too fast?
I'd give her a little bit of time, but if that keeps up, she probably didn't get mated real well.
Right.
So Kent Williams, the Kentucky guy, will tell you that's when a queen's running.
One thing I do is I put a drone frame in there. All my hives to get a drone frame. They all say, "Oh, the varroa." I says, "Well, then make sure you treat for varroa, like I do."
Right.
But I'll tell you one thing: you put that drone frame in there, you don't have no drone frame between the boxes. You don't
I
have
get
the
some, but not
cone
near as
between the
much.
boxes. None of that stuff.
So all my hives, except for like 6, because I don't have enough, have a drone frame in there. But this one, so she was a brand new queen. Her brood's finally starting. Her first round of broods finally starting to hatch out. But a lot of her frames were. She is laying up a storm. She has like 4 to 5 brood frames that are just solid, like perfect circle, perfect ovals. But intermixed in all of that is bullet brood. I'm not saying it's like 10%. It's probably around 10% of that brood is bullet brood. It's drones. And like I said, when I first saw her eggs, I did notice that she was double laying cells.
That's more common than people think. I see it all the time. Kent down here tells me I just look too hard at the frames.
Right.
'Cause I've been really noticing that this year, and now that I've been noticing, I look harder, and I can find it in almost every hive where you can find a section where you see 2 and 3 eggs. But I'd take if you're out of the drone frames, just take a piece of foundation, cut it in half, snap it, and put it in the middle of the frame, and they'll draw drone stuff on the sides. It works well.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
I was just wondering if it was just her just being so gung ho to lay that she just laying an infertile egg into some of these cells.
I don't really know. Like if she's brand new, I can say I'd give her a little bit of time to see if she's got some kind of a quirk. But if you continue to see that, then I would think that she probably didn't get mated well or something.
Right.
I say I watched Kent talk about this just a few weeks ago. How he when he starts seeing that the single drones scattered across the frames, he knows that's time to get rid of that queen. I'd never heard of that before, and now I kind of look for it, but I'm requeening stuff pretty regularly anyway.
Right.
And it sounds like you've got a lot of queens in your back pocket too, so it's not too hard for you to requeen either.
So to me, yeah, but that was the first time I've ever seen that, because it's not like your normal drone brood that's kind of on the bottom of the frame or the burr comb that's in the middle. This is drone brood, just like singulars intermixed in a whole sheet, a whole half of a frame. Like I said, there'll probably be like 1,500 cells laid. There'll probably be like 10, 15 to 20 drone cells that have popped up in the middle of it.
Yeah, I said Kent Williams would tell you to replace the queen.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said
if she's
earlier.
Brand new, like I would want her to go a little bit longer, see if she keeps it up. If she keeps it up, then I'd replace her.
So that was my opinion on it. I was like, I'm just wondering if she was just too gung ho to lay, and I'm gonna give her a couple brood cycles to see what happens. Like, she's laying a lot. The frames that she's touching, they're solid. There's just a little bit of drone brood mixed into it too. Dave, hitch that girl and start over with that nuke. Use your resources and save time overall. Season is ticking. Yeah.
Very true. Hey, Todd.
Hey.
Hadn't seen you on in a while.
Yeah, I've been busy. What are you guys up to?
We're just talking queens here tonight.
Yeah, Eddie, I'm going to order some from you. I'll probably give you a call this weekend. Well, tomorrow.
Okay.
I've got to order some for another yard.
Like, are you wanting them for next week? Like this shipment on Tuesday? Or
No. How is Memorial Day going to mess you up with shipping?
I haven't thought about it.
That's on a Monday. So
then it probably won't affect me because I ship on Tuesdays.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, if anybody ever needs me to adjust a ship date, I'd do it. I did it for somebody last week.
On that particular week, I do. I was wondering if you could ship it on Wednesday, but we could talk about it later.
Yeah, I can hold them for. I mean, they're going to still emerge on that Sunday, But I'm starting to get to where I'm actually liking to bank them a little bit longer now. I've been Kent down here and I have been doing a little bit of experimenting, and we're noticing that just playing around with some direct releases and stuff, that the bees seem to act very different to a version that's been out for a week than they do to a version that just came out. Like, it seems like they almost treat her like a queen instead of kind of ignoring her like they do those fresh versions. So we're doing a little playing around with that. And I know Kent Williams in Kentucky, he banks them for a week before he puts them in his mating nukes anyway, because he wants them to go on a mating flight right away.
When you bank yours, do you bank them in a battery box with other bees, or are they just kind of just chilling in an incubator?
Neither.
Either.
So I right now it's above one of my breeders. I'll take a strong. Usually, I change where I'm banking them all the time, but I go to a strong hive, and I'll grab 2 frames of open brood, pull those 2 frames of open brood out, and put foundation back in, and then put a queen excluder on top of the hive, put another box on top of that, and put those 2 frames of open brood up there, and then I put my bank frames up there, and nurse bees stay up there to take care of the brood and take care of your queens too. And it gives you another round of culling. So if you've got some queens that you might not have noticed there was a problem with, if they got a problem, those nurse bees won't feed them, and they'll be dead. So it gives you an extra round of culling, and it's just another quality control step.
You let them hatch in the incubator, right?
No, I used to,
Okay,
but that's just a pain in the butt because you have to get it up almost every hour. And no,
Dave, if you want to hatch them in
the bank
cell builder hive where no queen's there, and as soon as they hatch out, they get fed right away.
Right.
Yeah,
I just do it in the bank.
In the incubator, and you're not there right then and there, they'll starve to death. And another thing is, even though you might put honey in that bottom thing or like on the side of the cage and the water, it still isn't like the other bee feeding that bee.
Right.
Yeah, they get royal jelly almost right away when they're in a bank hive. Or like you said, you can put it in your cell builder. That works too. I don't like doing the cell builder thing because of the I use the roller cages. I know you use the easy peasy stuff, so you don't have to worry about getting out. But sometimes a few of them will get out of the roller cages on me by pushing the cell cup up, and I don't want that to happen in my starter, in my cell builder.
So
that'd be all the end of all the cells.
So what? Oops.
You all right, Dave?
Yeah, I gotta break this off.
I'm
about to show you my incubator. So what you were just talking about is probably what I'm going to have an experience with.
Yeah, Todd, they went on today. I got mine.
So you're saying they could possibly push these easy peasy cups up?
They're hair roller cages.
Right.
Yeah, I was just trying to find a picture.
Some can push them up, but sometimes what I do is I take a little bit of wax and put some honey on both sides of it, and I squeeze it in between the easy peasy lip and the roller cage lip, and it sticks them down hard enough where they can't get out.
Well, I never thought that they would be able to push that up.
Yeah, they push them out.
Huh. I'm glad y'all said something because about Thursday and Friday, all of them are going to be hatching out. So don't want to fight in the incubator.
I just took and cut little grooves in the sidebars of the frame and ran fishing line around it tight and made 2 wraps, and that holds the roller cages in there. I just let gravity hold them, and like I say, every once in a while one will get out, and what happens is as soon as they get down to that queen excluder in the bank, they kill her. I don't know why, but they do. They'll take care of them while they're in the roller cages, but the ones that get out and get down to that excluder, they ball and kill. And I don't really know why. I guess it doesn't matter if I know why or not. It's just weird. They'll take care of them until they get to that excluder. Then they're toast.
You could also tape those caps on there too.
Right.
You know. I don't know.
Just be an extra step for me. Like when I do it, it's like well over 100, and it starts becoming tedious.
Ask.
I noticed for me at least that the painter's tape doesn't stick to the roller cages very well
Okay.
for some reason. I don't know why. So I just take I'll take a piece of Gorilla Tape and I'll just start ripping real thin, you know, quarter-inch or half-inch wide strips, and then I tape them over whenever I do it. But I haven't done incubator in a couple of years now.
Yeah, I still like the incubator, but this year I learned that I can't have them emerging because it's too. I always got like the smallest batch I'll have in there is like 80.
You know,
that's gonna come out over a long period.
When I went to St. Louis, and Charlie, you missed out. I think I told you before, but at lunch, me and Brian were sitting there talking with Kent Williams, and we went over like cell builders and what he does. He makes a little small, tiny 5-frame cell builder with eight or 10 frames worth of bees in it, and then he does the 48-hour cells. And so I did that this year, and I'll be darned, those things works out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that Kent in Kentucky, Kent Williams, he said that he likes a nuke because you could compress the bees tight around that frame, and that's the same thing I noticed. If you have a package of bees or whatever, put it in a nuke because you can manipulate the bees to focus on just 5 frames if you need them to draw wax out. And then they'll go right up with a chimney. I got hive number 2 out there. I got it in 5 frame. I just about a week ago put a 3rd box. Now it's straw and comb I put in there because I want them to go 10 frame. And I'm like, I want 10 frames in a box, and I want another 5 frames of brood in the second medium box, and I might even put a 4th box on there. I'm not sure. But when I get ready to do it, I'll transfer. I'll have 20 frames of bees and brood everywhere when I put them in a 10 frame. It really, the nuke box is like Michael Palmer always said, it's the magic. It's magic hive. Everything does better in a compressed form.
I think
have a lot of hive frame equipment.
I used to do the Bob Binney method, and it works great. I like doing it, but it's a lot of work. And this 5-frame nuke business, it's cake. I mean, you put 4 frames in there, a grafting frame, 8 or 10 frames of bees, and you're set. And that's it. And then you come back 2 days later, you grab those cells. But the only bad part about this is getting those cells off the cell bars. You have to be very careful about that. And what I do is I use needle nose pliers, and I kind of grab it around the cup there, and I yank them down, and then then I'll put them in my fingers and put them into a hive. But
so to get them off the cell bar, if you just take a finger or your thumb and you just press a little bit of tension on the side of the JZBZ part, it'll crack at the top, and you just take your hive tool and pop it.
Oh yeah. I've done that too. I've taken X-Acto knives and I've just kind of pried it off there a little bit and finished it with my hand. But
DC, that's easy peasy, which works with JZBZ.
Yeah, those are really, really nice. I was going to order a bunch of them this year. I went to do it. I'm like, it's going to be a few $100s to get what I need to do. I've already got a couple hundred roller cages. I'm going to stick with roller cages for another year or two.
Well, the easy peasy cages, they will fit on a JZBZ queen cell bar with the queen cell. You can actually snap them on there, or
they're much nicer.
Take that cell off of there. They've got them 2 little shoulders, little bumps in there, and that thing will actually lock in place. Now, the one thing I found was you get yourself one of them little teeny weeny, like 1/4-inch wide screwdrivers or 3/16 or whatever, and I twist it like that in order to pop that thing loose from those cell.
If you pinch the side that doesn't, the sides that don't have the slots, Doesn't it open?
I think it does sort of, but I just found it easier just to go like that, and it was more gentle and everything.
Roy, I ship UPS next day air, if that's what you're asking.
So, yeah. But everybody was
Oh.
super. Mhm.
Charlie, so going back to the Apigard thing, couple things. They will never make another label or a new label because if it's the FDA. Okay, so the drugs that you and I take, if the label that comes with that prescription needs to be changed, more times than not, they have to do a study, and that costs tons of money.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain that's the case with this. So whatever label is with that product, they're stuck with it. But you could use it, any way you
Well, the
want.
main thing is go to their website, go to the frequently asked questions. I think there's 26 different questions as the most common, and they write them out in very clear, basic, plain English that that a beekeeper can understand. And I'm like, well, why don't you just take this paper and add it along with the darn thing? It's like perfect.
Yeah. No,
But,
they can't do that. That's against the law.
That's crazy as crap.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Got me wondering, will it contradict what they're saying? Because if you got the people who make it saying one thing on their site and it's contradicting what is said on the label, will that get them in trouble too?
Well, it doesn't say much on the label. That's the problem.
Here's the thing with the label. The label is describing how they did the experiments. So they ran it 2 weeks at 50 milliliters or 50 grams at certain temperatures. Now their temperature range, I think it goes up to 105.
Yeah.
That's crazy talk, because he'll run every single bee out of that box at 105. I personally don't go past 88 degrees. So the label, they're stuck with with the experiments that they did to get approved, and so that label is what they did. Basically, it's directions on how they did the experiments and how you should apply it.
Yeah. So, well, guys, it's past 10:30. I'm going to go ahead and shut the chat down. It's been great tonight. We had a lot of great participants on the video part here. A lot of good talk about queens, which I really like, and how to do a lot of different ways of introduction and things. So we will see you next Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, and I'll probably see me on Bill's channel on Monday night, Be All Day at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard. And hopefully everybody got their questions answered and that kind of stuff. So until then,